Another condition which may be possible to adjust in the calculation of the taxable net profit. This is the calculation of bad debt written off. The bad debt written off is the amount of the account receivable that the company or the taxpayer give the credit to the customer when they make the credit sale. If the customer cannot pay for the good or service that they receive, the accounting will recognize those of the unpaid account receivable as a bad debt write-off expense. However, for the financial accounting, when they're making the calculation of the accounting net profit at the end of the reporting date, they will measure the number of the account receivable with the net realizable value. In the accounting, they will estimate for the number of the account receivable that cannot pay or they may not receive for the payment, and record it and record this estimation as the bad debt expense, even in the case of the write-off bad debt or set up the provision for the bad debt. If they set up for the provision of the bad debt, they will debit bad debt expense and credit the provision for bad debt. But if they write off account receivable immediately, they will credit AR. Okay, normally in the accounting, they will set up for the provision and they will write off the AR after they have the document or the evidence to prove that they may not get 100% for the payment from the customer. Okay, so when the accounting recognize this tax, they have to consider that in the accounting period that they write off the bad debt. Section 65bis, giving the condition of the tax deductible of the bad debt write-off. They can fulfill this requirement, this condition or not in the accounting period. If they cannot, it will be the bad debt write-off that cannot taken as the expense in the calculation of the taxable net profit. So they have to adjust this. The number of the account receivable that they write off as a bad debt expense, it will be recognized as a bad debt expense in the case of the tax under this condition. The first one is that the debt is arose from the business and included in the calculation of the net taxable profit in the previous year or in the year that they recognize the income under the accrual basis. And this number of debt shall not be the director debt. For example, loan to director or loan to the employee. This one will not be acceptable for the bad debt write-off expense. The second one, the number of debt is already past due for the payment. The third one, the claim for the payment still valid for the court action. And number four, the action that may require for every range of the number of debt written off. Okay. By the way, in general, action required is that they have to follow up the payment action, such as giving the notice for the payment and still not get the payment from the customer. Other than this, it will be vary to the number of the debt. So the characteristic of the debt is the debt arose from the carry on the business in connection with the business and has been included as a revenue in the computation of the net profit in previous accounting period. The claim for debt still not bear from the court action because in the civil and commercial code, some of the debt has the limited of the time to sue the case in the court. The procedure to write off the bad debt is referred to the Ministerial Regulation number 186. This ministerial regulation divides the number of each debtor into the range. First level is that the debt over 500,000 baht, and the second level is debt between 100,000 baht to 500,000 baht, and the third level is that debt is not over 100,000 baht. If the debt is over 500,000 baht, the action required is that the demand for the payment have been made and the matter have been pursued to the extent suitable to the case. Then is taken the action into the civil action has been brought into the court against the debtor, or the petition for entering of the sharing the proceeds is in an action. and the court has injunction or order has been issued that the debtor should pay the debt, and the debtor has no property to settle the debt. It means they take the civil action in the civil court, and then the justice has a final judgment, order the debtor to pay the debt, and the debtor still not have the property to pay the debt. Or in the third one, the bankruptcy action has been brought into the court against the debtor, or the petition has been entered for the debt settlement in the bankruptcy action, and the debtor has been judged for bankrupt, and the first lot of his property have been shared out. In this means, the taxpayer have already sued the case in the bankruptcy court action, and then the judgment has been final justice, and the debtor do not have the property to pay for the debt. In the accounting period that even the bankruptcy court action or the civil court action has been fulfilled according to this condition, they can deduct all this bad debt written off as the expense in the calculation of the taxable net profit. So the action that they perform, they may fulfill this requirement in different accounting period that they write off the bad debt in the kind of the financial accounting purpose. So these are the example of temporary difference that we have working paper for recording that when they can fulfill the requirement of the expense deduction, we can take that amount in the calculation of the taxable net profit in the accounting period that they fulfill the requirement, although it is not the same accounting period for the financial accounting. For the debt between 100,000 baht but not over 500,000 baht for each debtor, the demand for payment have been made, the civil action has been brought into the court, and the debtor or a petition has been entered for sharing the process, and the court has accepted the case or the petition for the consideration. Or the company may take the bankruptcy court action, and the court accept the bankruptcy action, and the court has order to accept the case for the judgment. In this, the director or the managing partner of the taxpayer shall issue the order within 30 days from the last day of the accounting period to authorize the writing of the bad debt. As same as with the number of the debt over 500,000 baht, in which accounting period that the taxpayer can fulfill this requirement under the number of debt which is not over 500,000 baht. In that accounting period, they can take as the expense in the calculation of taxable net profit, although it is different period with the accounting net profit recognition. For the number of debt which is not over 100,000 baht for the general company, or the number of debt not over 200,000 baht for the financial institution, that is the bank or the finance, they just have the demand for the payment to prove that they have already followed up for the payment from the debtor, and they do not yet receive the settlement from the debtor, and provide also that if they're taking into the court action, the expense will be greater than the amount that they can be recovered from the payment of the customer. In the accounting period that they can fulfill this requirement, they can take it as the bad debt expense in the calculation of taxable net profit.